Tyler, speaking of Oodle Noodle, it's delicious. We know it. But what is the delicious debate this week?
The Oodle Noodle delicious debate this week is based off an article I wrote earlier this week about my concerns heading into this season. It's Kool-Aid drinking season. Everyone's feeling positive, and I'm not saying we should be negative, but I don't mind shining a light on what's maybe keeping us up at night a little bit before the start of the year. So what is your biggest concern heading into this season?
You wrote the article. I've read your article. I'm going to start with you, Tyler. If you only get to pick one, though, because you put 5 down on the list.
For me, it's the depth on the left side. That's what's keeping me up at night. I shiver in fear that one of Kulak or Nurse will get injured, and that means either Broberg or Murray's going to have to play top 4, and the pairings are going to be all scrambly, and I just fear they don't have the depth on the left side to get through an entire 82-game NHL season. I think when you look at their roster, their scoring depth at least has some upside and potential and should be fine. If not, the high end is there with McDavid, Draisaitl, Kane, Hyman, all those pieces. That scoring will be fine. Goaltending will be fine. They got through last year with the goaltending they did, so Campbell, Skinner will be better. But for me, it's the blue line because like the high end of their blue line isn't elite like the forward group, and the depth isn't that good. So the left side of the blue line specifically worries me.
Dan, what do you got?
I think it's a pretty common one for everybody when they see the number that is available. It's the cap space. And for me, Tyler, you kind of laid it out there. You look around the league and every team, it seems, is having these end of season injuries come out already, or, issues that are going to hold out players for a long time. Yeah. If we see that with our star guys, there is some finagling that has to be done by the management. And everybody knows that we're at we're staring at the end of the gun barrel. And so, for me, the cap space is a big issue because this team may need to make some tweaks in the season. And with $167 to do that, you don't have a lot of room to work.
We're going to do a deep dive into the salary cap here right away because, like Dan said, not a lot of space. Not a lot of space. Rick, biggest concerns leading into the year?
I'm pretty confident with this team right now.
Bless
and, if you do have a big guy go down for a long time, LTIR, you got the money right away. It's not a big deal. The only thing I'll be watching closely is that the young youth takes the next step that I think is it's needed, but I also think it's an automatic. Oh, not an automatic, but I think it's most likely going to happen. So as long as the McLeods, the Yams, the Brobergs, and those guys, Skinner, they take that next step to what I think they should be, I think we'll be okay.
Are you at all concerned that do you view this as the Oilers are relying on any of that? Like, do you think they need 2 or 3 of those guys to have a successful regular season?
No, because I think that's why you brought in some of the older guys. And I still think that, if we lost a defenseman, it's not the end of the world. We can go to an 11-7. And those guys are really good at juggling the youth and sprinkling them in with the veterans and getting by. So I think we can still do that too. I'm just, I just want to get through camp here and just drop the puck on October 12th.
Oh, me too.
Liam, what are you thinking?
That they trade Jesse Puljujarvi. That's probably my biggest concern.
I think it's so made up. Like, I don't think it's actually even being talked about all that much within the upper office.
You think there's
not more than normal?
I think there's just people trying to will it into existence.
Yes, all it is. And I've left Twitter because of this. It's people over pumping his tires and then over deflating his tires, and he's not the greatest defensive player in the league. He just isn't. But what he does is he plays his defense in the offensive zone. So it's a non-traditional defensive type of player where he spends all his time down there. Of course, his numbers are going to be okay that way. So it's the argument's just been it's over the top for me. I've had enough. I can't stand it.
You haven't sent out an Oilers tweet in 9 days.
Yeah, like I've
How long's the break lasting for?
Sorry, I have no idea.
Or you just timed out for a while?
It could happen right now. I have no idea. I just, whenever I feel like saying something. But I look at it, I start reading this stupid shit again, I just fucking put my phone down.
I totally get it.
It's annoying the piss out of me.
I've been treating Twitter lately like almost throwing a grenade and then just walking away.
Oh, it's terrible, man. In every aspect of it, right? It's, yeah.
My biggest concern right now, to wrap up the delicious debate, and I'd like to hear your answers as well, Owen Radio Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, I think just the general state of the defense right now. I think, Liam, can you scroll down on Daily Faceoff a little bit?
Yes, I can.
So looking at it right now, Nurse and Ceci, I'm cool with that. Kulak, Bouchard, I'm cool with that. The third pairing, though, of Broberg and Barrie makes me nervous. It's mostly because Barrie is not the veteran that I would put next to a rookie to settle them down in their first full year. And I don't see on that right side a guy that I would move into that position.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, I just think the way that's part of my concern with the defense is like, so let's say you move CC down and you do like Kulak Berry, but then you're going what, Broberg Bouchard as a third pair? Like
You can't.
You can't. Like, that's not a stabilizing guy. And then your most stable right shot D man is CC. You're not going to put CC with like the Broberg, because then I think Murray Berry could maybe be a decent third pairing. And that would come probably with Broberg not making the team, obviously. But still, I just think the way the pairings line up, that right side, I just wish Tyson Berry was a shutdown right.
But you can roll this as 11-7
I was just going to say,
and sprinkle in Murray, and you're fine.
I worry
you need
about
these guys to get need these guys to get their feet wet, right? The Broberg needs to play.
All 100%. But like for me, if we're just talking about our big concerns, when I'm looking at the line combos just right now on daily faceoff, like I would feel infinitely more comfortable if that Tyson Berry spot there on that third pair was with a player like an Adam Larson.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like, I think they're going to be passable. I'm not saying that the defense is terrible or anything like that, but if the delicious debate question is what's the biggest concern you have, that's my answer.